Though it is a small town, historic Hillsborough fosters a bustling business sector in the downtown area where Churton and King Street meet. At night, however, there is slightly less bustle. After most of the shops have turned out their lights, the hotbed of activity becomes the Wooden Nickel, a hole-in-the-wall gathering place that brings all sorts together under its roof to have a brew. Even before you step inside, this pub has an obvious convivial feel. This is a place for old friends to share their day quietly in snug corners, or to shout across the bars in friendly banter with nearly half the crowd. A new visitor might be afraid of feeling ostracized by its intimacy, but they'll quickly find the ease with which strangers are greeted and immersed in this lively scene a pleasant surprise. The very walls of the Nickel are built on memories. Posters, carvings, and cutouts commemorate the generations that have historically gathered there. This decor includes a series of plaques that practically cover the walls, declaiming the names of its frequent visitors, along with a humorous portrayal of their visage. Residents, both young and old, come to the Wooden Nickel regularly to celebrate landmarks, meet up with company, or just have a drink or two. Whether it's your 21st birthday or you just got off work, a trip to the Wooden Nickel is your first stop. Amidst this variety of characters in a jovial setting, perhaps lubricated by the wide variety of locally made beers, it's easy to find out what people think of living in a town like Hillsborough. Each friend I made had a different story to tell, but one that truly interested me was Buck Parrish. Buck works as an electrician in Hillsborough, but the intimate relationship he has with the town and the places that are most meaningful to him give you more of an impression of an artist or a historian. It's as if the history of the town were written as he lived it, intersecting perfectly with his own life story and the stories of generations that came before him. Every place he showed me had its own tale. Like this house. Buck's grandparents lived decades ago on Okemechee Mountain, the hill of Hillsborough, where most employees of the mills resided. Because there were no phones in the mountain, Buck's grandfather had to run a mile to his boarding house by the train station to call a doctor when Buck's grandmother went into labor with Buck's dad. Buck even forms this sort of relationship with the houses he rewires. Many of them are historic landmarks of Hillsborough, but even this house, home to former 80s hit singer Hedge V, has meaning for him. It almost became famous on the album cover for House of Tears. Buck's knowledge of the Hillsborough area extends into its natural spaces, too. A panther once inhabited this cave, near where Buck's grandmother grew up. It was responsible for the death of his grandmother's best friend, a girl who thought she heard a woman scream and then was dragged off to this cave. Her neighbors smoked the panther out and killed it, so now Buck enjoys bringing friends here to share his story with them. Despite this frightening tale, Buck enjoys his proximity to nature in Hillsborough. He spent the first few years of his life in South LA, so he never ceases to appreciate mornings spent fishing in the Eno or the smell of pine wafting through the air. Another visitor you're bound to run into at the Wooden Nickel has a slightly larger presence in the public eye. Unlike Buck, Mayor Tom Stevens has lived in the Durham Chapel Hill area for a large part of his life, but has only inhabited Hillsborough officially for 10 years. His leadership of the small county seat brings him in contact with several important people, but he never forgets to drop by Cup of Joe or the Nickel to pay a visit to his friends. Friendly places like these two businesses, his morning and evening offices, are what brought the mayor close enough to Hillsborough and its residents that he decided to run for mayor back in 2005. And now he has a great vision for the future. Mayor Stevens is proud of the progress that the town has made and hopes for much more development in the future, like the new Hillsborough campus and the UNC hospital system, referring to the town fondly as Happening Hillsborough. And as downtown becomes more and more happening, it seems the relationships built around the Wooden Nickel will only grow more and more. Regardless of your age, your drink of choice, the friends you bring, if you're celebrating your 21st birthday or just grabbing a dozen delicious wings, the Wooden Nickel is where the town of Hillsborough comes together, and visitors are more than welcome.